Hello, today I'm doing a shell challenge build. So this one is hosted by Juby Sims, and she did a shell that's just three rectangles stacked on top of each other, and it looks simple at first, but it's so hard, and it's just a lot of diagonals. I struggled to do this roofing. I really don't know how I ended up doing it. I nearly gave up multiple times, but I kind of just kept pushing and I was like, okay, well, if I don't like it, then I don't have to do it anymore. So I just continued to do it. And I'm glad I did because it's one of my favorite builds that I've done in like a little while. It kind of reminds me of my wooden castle build that I did. I use a lot of similar items to that, and I didn't realize until I was looking back at this footage and I was like, oh, this looks exactly like all the stuff that I used for the wooden castle. And so I really like it. I feel like it matches my style very well, and that's kind of what I was thinking when I was going into it. I was like, okay, so this is a scary shell. Let's just do it in my comfort zone as much as possible. I'll use all my favorite items and maybe it'll come out okay. Like here you could see that it's a struggle to get the roof the way I want it to. I'm not very good at connecting multiple roof pieces together. People do it so beautifully, and I respect everyone who does it really nicely. I've never really tried, so I'm pretty bad at it because I've never really done it before. So looking back at it now, it looks really cool and I'm impressed, but I don't know how I would possibly redo it. But yeah, it's a very like a simple build. It's not too big. Or no, it actually, yeah, it's a pretty big build. It ends up being 3 bedrooms, but some of the bedrooms are pretty small, so maybe it's a big build, maybe it's not. But yeah, I really like the mixture of the snowy escape roof tiles with the thatched roof and cottage living. That's one of my favorite combinations now. And these vampire columns look really good with it too, which is probably why I reused it twice now and I didn't notice until it was done. But it ends up looking really, really nice. And usually the vampire columns are a little bit hard to work with because they're kind of strange colors. They don't go with a lot of things. But when you put reshade on, it blends everything, so it's fine. So yeah, I love all of the different walls that I used for this. I don't remember. The bottom one has to be Seasons. The middle one, I feel like, is Get Famous. And the top one was Snowy Escape. And I feel like they're just, like, made for each other. They mix and match very well. Like, they're slightly off, but I think I like that look for this because in my head, I was like, oh, it would be cool if it was like multiple houses sticking out of each other, stacked up. That's not what it ended up being because there's no way I would have done stairs leading up to them, but that's kind of what I had in my head when I was thinking about this. And the stairs look like they're on a diagonal. Mossy Sims told me that. She's like, well, the stairs look like they're like actually on a diagonal. But that's just because the entire build's built on a diagonal. And it looks really cool, but I would never like go out of my way to build an entire house on a diagonal just for the stairs. So and I ended up making this a lake house, so I just surround it by water, which I've been wanting to make a lake house just like this, and I had a picture saved and I didn't realize too until I was like halfway through this build. I was like, oh, this kind of looks like this sort of lake house that I wanted to build to begin with, so it worked out pretty well. And I always place rocks around my water because it just makes it easier to blend in, because you could smooth out the sides but there's still some of the terrain paint that you can see through, and you can't change it, so some lots it just doesn't look good, other ones it does, so I just put all rocks around it. And then if you have tool mod, you can lower them all down at the same time, so it saves a lot of time on having to lower each individual rock or fight the rocks. So yeah, I use mostly, like this one I used get together rocks for it, but I have used cats and dogs before, and there's a base game one that I like mostly use. I think I used Get Together because I was building in Windenburg, which this lot I think is one of my favorites now. I don't really build on it. I love the this island part in Windenburg. I think it's really beautiful, and it's like a lot of trees and stuff, which is usually the environment I like to make my builds in. So I don't know why I haven't used this in a while. It might be because I don't like demolishing my lots, and most of the time these lots already filled up, so I'd like never go back into it. But yeah, I'm trying to make a dock here, and I'm struggling to realize that I need to use different like diagonal pieces in order to get the stairs to look good. And I don't know if I already expanded the water a little bit. Okay, yeah, now I am. I expand the water out because I wanted it to seem like it was more natural and a boat can fit through it maybe, and maybe travel off of the lot. But you can't do that in The Sims, so you just have to pretend like this is somehow connected to the other body of water that's next to it. And the cottage living fences works really good with this too. I use so many packs for this exterior. Surprisingly, they all go really well together. I'm sure if I turned off my preset, it would be a nightmare, but I usually just take pictures of it, so it really doesn't matter that much. I like putting herbs on the outside of my builds now because Simley Sash did it in one of her builds and it amazed me. And so every time I can remember to hang herbs on the outside of my house, I try and do that. But yeah, I also put some like dead grass on top of the roof, which is one of my favorite things to do when I'm building, but I haven't gotten like around to doing it in a little while. Like I don't think I've done that since my second build video really. And I just placed this boat, which I'm glad that I could actually put in water this time. I'm pretty sure one of my previous builds was just thrown on the grass somewhere, but this time I actually have water. And it's way easier for me to landscape when I have water because I have like a frame to go off of. And this is my like broken down stairs that I like to do. I did it for the first time in my first build video, and I was like, I swear I'm going to do this in all of my builds, and then I forgot about it, and then I remembered it, and so I've been doing it in a lot of builds lately. All you really do is raise up some terrain, and you place down, they're just base game railings, but they're very low to the ground, and you smooth it out so it ends up being a slope down, and I like the uneven look of them. I'm sure if you didn't, you could probably play around with the terrain tools a little bit more to make it not look like that. But that's why I like doing it. I like that it looks messy, and we don't have any stairs like that in the game, so that I love doing that in my builds now. I'm pretty sure I did it in my next build video and the next build video after that. I do it in a lot of builds. I also did some of the landscaping not in this video because I had recorded some in vertical format in case I wanted to try and do a landscaping reel or something. I don't know if I'm going to, but I have it just in case. It's like not too interesting. I use like 3 different type of landscaping stuff. It's the island living flowers that are like framed around the rocks, and they look really good in springtime. Summer they're a little too bright for me, but springtime it seems perfect, so I've been using them a little bit more often in my builds. And I use like werewolf leaves in the rocks and like cottage living ivy on the ground. So that's all I really did for the entire like framed part of the lake, and just a bunch of flowers. I use like white and yellow flowers a lot lately. I don't know why, they just like speak to me in this like this spring for some reason, because I like when they look kind of half out of season. I always see Mossy Sim always builds in spring, and I usually never do. I always build in, I think, fall, and it doesn't look the same. So I definitely like building in spring now. I have to re-download MCC so that I can change the seasons and stuff and the lighting. Ever since like the new update, I haven't been putting in all of the mods that I normally use, and I've learned that it's really hard to place curtains without a mod, because I have a mod that lets you free place curtains against windows, which I completely forgot I had. And so I've been trying to build, and I'm like, did the new update break the way you put curtains on windows? But it turns out it didn't. That's just how the game is usually. So if you struggle with windows and curtains, there's a mod for it. I'm gonna have to re-download it, so maybe I'll add that into each of my descriptions of my videos, because right now I list my reshade preset that I have, and so I guess I could add some of the other mod links that I have too. This changes the interior. It looks okay, but I like what I end up doing better, so yeah, I delete all the cabinets. Because I like connecting and putting those shelves into the fireplace, so it kind of looks like the fireplace is built into one big sort of unit. And I just think it flows a lot better. This is probably one of my favorite parts of the build. I end up really liking it. I put a bunch of different clutter that I really like, including a lot of clay objects, which I learned now doing gameplay. It's a pain to have in your builds because your Sims constantly pick up the clay sculptures that I place in all of my builds. So I apologize if you've ever downloaded one of my builds and your Sims just constantly steal the clutter and make different things and leave it on your counter somewhere, because I'm just now noticing how annoying that is. So, like, since I noticed that, I've been doing it less. But they're so cute, so it's hard to, like, I love the teapot and that little, like, guy's head over there, too. It's amazing, but it's annoying that they just, like, constantly pick it up. And I've learned this new trick. I can't remember their username, so I'll have to, like, credit in the comments or something. But she puts, she sizes down a bunch of stuff on all of the shelves so that she could free place things on shelves. It also prevents your Sims from placing plates on top of the, like, shelf spaces. So I used, the upgrade parts, and when I placed them down, I had realized that they look kind of like candle holders. So I made some, like, custom candle holders that I think look really cool. It looks almost like CC candles, and I really like it. But yeah, now I'm trying to split the room in half a little bit, because I didn't really want it to be one big space. But using walls is really hard in the diagonal. And even some of that looks kind of weird. Like, there should be another column from one of the pieces hanging down, but I didn't want to block off the kitchen completely, so I just leave it like that. It ends up looking really cute anyway. No one looks up in builds, so normally when I'm taking a picture, I try and keep it as, like, low as possible to not show the bright ceiling anyway. So I'm sure that's not even going to be noticed. It's only noticed while I'm building, so. I think I use a table. Yeah, I use a table to create sort of like an island counter, but it just feels more, like, worn down, and I like the look of the wood a little bit more than I would of just, like, a big solid counter. I do use an island counter in this build too, which I never get to use because my builds are so small, so I never have enough space for them. But this felt pretty, like, large, this downstairs. Mostly because I forgot to put a bathroom downstairs. I always do that. I think I need to start prioritizing bathroom placement as one of the first things I do, because right now whenever I'm doing an interior, I place the stairs or ladders first, and then I do the floor plan, but I never consider bathrooms. And I'd like a bathroom on the first floor of my builds, so I'll have to, like, try and remember to redo that every single time, because I just recorded another video and I almost forgot the bathroom, so I had to squeeze one in somewhere. But anyway, this build, the kitchen is really cute. I like it. It's a little dark though, so I end up changing out that, like, door at the back, and I open it up so you can see the outside a little bit more, and you could see the water, which I really like. And I was considering that the whole time, but I really like the, like, the wood texture of that door, and I think it looks really cute outside. So I was just like, no, I don't want to change it, but I do end up changing it. And a lot of my footage when I was doing this, for some reason, was like completely out of order, so I didn't know where anything was. So like this clutter footage was almost just lost because I didn't know where it was at all. But now you get to see me clutter another kitchen. I do the same sort of thing every single time I clutter a kitchen. I layer cabinets up the walls if it's like a medium wall height, because I feel like it looks a little weird with a bunch of space from the ceiling to the top of the cabinet. I use shelves like right above the counters because I like to keep the counters as like clean as possible. I say that as the other side is completely filled with clutter pretty much. But this one I tried to keep it like off of it. So it ends up being okay. And I'm like trying to think about gameplay a little bit when I'm building, but I've been doing gameplay recently and I learned that I don't like doing gameplay in my builds. I think my builds are just like not suitable for gameplay. And I don't know. Like I was talking about the whole clay thing before. I feel like whenever I'm playing The Sims, I like to customize a house specifically for the family that I'm like playing with. And so I don't like too much clutter, but then I don't like playing in a house that doesn't have clutter. And it's like a whole balance. I think it's just hard for me to do gameplay. But yeah, so I changed the door out and I decided to bring in that wood tone that I really liked by using the Snowy Escape shutters instead. And I think that was a good compromise because I was able to open it up, but then have it... Wait, did one of the shutters disappear? I'm gonna have to check. Because while I was talking, I had noticed that one of the top shutters didn't look like it was there. If it's not there, I'll have to go back and fix it. I still have to record the beginning of the video where I show off the build. And I know that a lot of people show off their builds at the end of their videos, but I feel like it's better to just do it at the start because not everyone's gonna watch a full video. And so at least they can watch the beginning part that shows the full video. The floor plan for this was like a little annoying. I struggled a lot. You could see that there's weird shaped rooms everywhere. I didn't know how this was going to turn out. There's one spot on the second floor that has two little triangles is just dead space. You can't even use them, which I don't like doing with my builds, but I've been having to do it more and more lately and just accept that some of the space is going to not be usable. But I decided to do the upstairs first because it looked a little bit smaller and less intimidating, especially after doing the huge downstairs. So I do a like little study area up here. I mixed a bunch of different bookcases because I really wanted to use that cube one with the like vinyl records on it, and I never get to use it because it looks a little too modern. And you could see I was trying to distress it a little bit by putting some vampire like marks on it, but it didn't work out because when I deleted the walls, the roof started poking in, and so the ripped wall pieces that I wanted to use were going on the roof, and the roof was so hard to do. I didn't know how I did it. I still don't know how I did it. So I wasn't going to redo it and move it. So I was like, it's fine. I don't have to distress this bookcase today. Maybe another time I'll do it. That's been happening a lot lately. I like doing cracks in mirrors sometimes, but the last time I tried to do that, I had rounded walls, so I couldn't just easily delete a wall. But instead, I decided to do something else that I thought was cool in here, which is make my own custom desk by using a dining room table and a dresser and just putting them together. And those are like the same exact color, and I feel like they're worn down the same amount. They are almost perfect for each other, so that goes really well together. I did have to change the bed out because I realized that I didn't like the bed next to that anymore. But yeah, the bathroom I keep pretty simple. I don't like doing bathrooms that much. I normally just put some pieces of clutter on the sink, and I don't think it ever gets in the way of Sims using it. I'm not really sure. But that's normally just how I clutter my bathrooms because most of the time my bathrooms are like 3 tiles by 2 tiles, just enough space to fit in all the stuff. And so I don't have enough space to add other things. So I put clutter in other parts of my builds, though. Like, this bedroom, I think, is the most cluttered bedroom in the house. This is when I updated my game and I got the new pack, so I used some new items in this room. I thought that, like, when I got the pack, I was a little nervous because it didn't seem like it would fit my building style very well. And some of the windows and stuff doesn't, but there's really good interior items that I'm going to use all the time. And most of it that I use in this room are stuff that I'm going to use all the time. Like, those wall lights are my new favorite lights in the game. I always struggle, even, like, I have all of the building packs, and I struggle to find, like, wall lights that I really like that I could use all the time. And now I found them. It's those ones. I'm going to use them in, like, almost every single build now. There's some other stuff, like that mirror, the big, like, floor mirror is really, really cute. When I had seen that in the images of all the new items coming, I was super excited. The new rug, too, that I put in the bedroom is amazing. That's kind of what sold me on the pack right away. Like, I had watched the trailer, and the first thing I, like, thought was, a rug. I need the pack. I'll pay $40 for a rug. But yeah, so there is enough good items in the pack where I feel good about having purchased it, because at first I was a little worried because I don't do gameplay, like, too often, and it is mostly a gameplay driven pack. Like, the gameplay is really good, but I don't know how much use that's gonna get with me, so I'm glad I found really good items. That toy box that I use in this room, one of my favorite items too. I'm gonna use it in every single build. I feel like it was made for me. It's going in everything, which means I'm gonna put more kids' bedrooms in my builds, because, like, I always get lazy clutter in kids' bedrooms, but now I have really good furniture to be able to use with it. And, like, even now, I'm kind of struggling of what I'm going to use in this bedroom, because I wanted it to be really cluttered because I just got the new pack, so I felt like I had to. But this part is my favorite part that I've done. I think it looks really cute. I raised a bunch of stuffed animals up on this shelf, and that's going to be one of my go-to things now. I already did it in another build that I recorded, but that one's not coming out for a little while. I have to, like, do a bunch of other stuff before that one. But yeah, I really like being able to use all of the different kids' toys in that way and sizing them up and putting them on the shelf, because I never really get to use them. So I think that's a good way to do it without just, like, cluttering the floor up too much. But yeah, I'm pretty sure this is, like, the entire video. I don't do anything else. So if you want to do this shell challenge, it's still going to be up. So I'm posting this March 27th, I think. The shell's not due until, like, April, the end of April. So if you see this and you decide that you want to give it a try, you could go ahead. It is hosted by Juby Sims, so you could check her out on, like, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, pretty much anything. Try out this shell. I would love to see any entries too. So yeah, thank you for watching. Bye.